Hey, I'm Rob Signoretti. Currently, I reside in Edmonton, Alberta. I've worked the last 12 years of my career, or ever since I left the Student Works Management program. I've progressed a career through the technology space, starting at Dell, which a lot of our network has built a career in. Eventually, taking a promotion to come out west here in Alberta to run the commercial space across the prairies, and then has moved into the consulting space with technology. And the last 4 years of my career, I've spent in the data and analytics space. Right now, I work for an organization called Databricks. We are the leaders globally when it comes to uh, scale out very deep enterprise data analytics and AI. So what we work with is a lot of the household names and major disruptors in various industries to help them leverage data at scale, drive AI, or what we call democratize AI, across industry to solve some of the toughest problems. A lot of the cool things that we do is help them save millions of dollars by driving efficiencies and de-risking operations. And we also help them strengthen their value chains or introduce new value chains for massive revenue increases. So really cool. And one thing that's really unique as well as this company being a late stage startup is being able to participate as an equity holder and really feel like you have a little bit more of an ownership stake in the company rather than just an employee. So here to chat a little bit about the influence of the Student Works Management program in my life overall. So a little bit of a background: I grew up in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, 70,000 person city that's situated right on the border with Michigan, in between all the Great Lakes. So a little separated from a lot of other cities, and really core to mostly government and blue collar jobs. And that was my family. So growing up, the prospects of what I want to do in my career was to go either the teacher route, law enforcement, potentially work another role that ultimately tied to government. And that brought me to Brock University, where I was taking sociology with a concentration of criminology, focusing on the pursuit of law enforcement. And between in my second years, when I was introduced to the Student Works Management program, randomly came across a flyer, a sign up sheet, and attended the session, really thinking, oh, maybe I'll paint. I don't really know what this is about, but I do want to stay here over the summer. And sat down, and the notion there's a few notions ultimately that really rang true with me. One was differentiation. So when you come out of university and you're competing against thousands of people for ultimately the same roles, how do you differentiate yourself beyond, hey, I have a degree, which is essentially table stakes for everyone. So that really resonated with me. And the second piece was the notion of a results economy. So, having worked summer jobs, always having been someone who did a really good job at what I did, the limitations of just still earning the same salary as everyone else was something that was frustrated. So the idea that if I work harder and I outperform other people, then you reap those rewards is something that I was really drawn to. So I'd say in the first year, I definitely, like most people, underestimated the growth that you'll go through in being a first year operator. Had an amazing team supporting me, grew a ton, but coming out of that, ultimately, I was really unsure whether I wanted to continue with the program. And thankfully, people like Chris Thompson and leaders in the program really leaned in to encourage me to stick with it. And I did have unfinished business that I wanted to come back to and ultimately capitalize on and prove myself on. So what I went into thinking, hey, this is a great summer job, I'll make more money than I typically would, ultimately turned into this amazing growth journey where I really, instead of running away from the challenges and the stresses, I started to develop the mentality of embracing those and focusing on building the character to take on those challenges and see what the reward is through those. So stuck with the Student Works Management program for 2 more years. After that, had really, really successful years, very profitable years as well. Really learned the entire scope of running a business. And out of that, the things that I went in for it, into the program for, I really got out more than I ever could imagine, when it came to being differentiated, which ultimately is what got me my role in my first real corporate job at Dell. They were more drawn to my experience with the student works management program than anything that I had going on in university. That notion of ownership, and still to today, an amazing network of incredibly skilled, awesome human beings that I really lean on as peers and mentors. So something that is really been critical and a main influencing factor to who I've become today.